Okay, so this is the Bible story. There is a God. He's revealed himself in the Bible. The Bible shows us how to interpret life. Every struggle, every experience, every life event that we experience, we filter through those assumptions. And then we're affirmed in our faith. But it's ultimately, from a philosophical point of view, it's just circular reasoning. Okay? So let's just very briefly go over some of the Christian evidences that that suggest strongly, yes, truth lies in this direction, and the assumptions are. Okay? Keeping in mind Ravi Zacharias' comment, okay? Ultimately, we cannot prove this. Ultimately, reality is beyond our comprehension. We as humans are simply too limited. Okay, Ravi Zacharias, a famous apologist, currently the best apologist now. God did not give us an airtight argument. He has given us a foolproof person. So ultimately, we need to get people that we're talking to. We've got to get them to the place where they're encountering Jesus. They need to get into the Bible to read them. Okay. Is there historical evidence? Is there historical evidence for the Christian faith? Okay, I don't want to spend too much time. These are just the surface things, remember, okay? And there is a lot of evidence for the Christian faith, okay? The wake of the resurrection event. It's been 2,000 years since Jesus lived and rose again. And today there are monuments to Jesus on every continent, in every town. Like every church is a monument to Jesus. Okay? 2,000 years later, he is still the most significant person on the planet that's ever lived here. Still. Okay? That says something from a historical perspective. The story of the Jewish people, I believe, is a testament that suggests the truth does lie in the story that came out of the Jewish culture. The story of the church. Okay, 2,000 years, and we all know the church has experienced an awful lot of brokenness, lots of ups and lots of downs. Okay, the point that we need to make, though, okay, in spite, the church continues to grow worldwide in spite of intense persecutions, venomous criticism, and that could be underlined, and for today, triple underlined. Blatant internal corruption, vitality draining cultural compromise. But in spite of that, the church continues to grow. Can that be said of any of the other religions? Can that be said of Islam? Do they experience persecutions? No. Do they criticize from within their ranks? Nothing. Okay? It doesn't compare. But the church continues to grow. So that is evidence that suggests, hey, let's take another look at the Bible. Okay? Remember, all of this really it hopefully gets us to the place where we are open to have the God of our understanding speak to us. And the last one from history is simply the story of the Bible. Here we have the Bible. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. A book that's up to 3,500 years old, essentially complete. Okay, with hardly an error in it. Okay, science. Does science point to God? The Christians, for far too long, the Christian community has been scared of science. They thought, if the science eventually will disprove the Bible, there has been this latent fear within the Christian church. Okay, and I want to reassure you that, and we'll have a quote right away. Science is pointing the way back to the Bible. It really, really is. The discoveries, and we will look at them later on, that's our biggest detour today. We will look at them later on. The science points to God. Okay, one quote, okay? The God hypothesis, i.e. everything that there is has been caused by the God who has spoken to us. The God hypothesis is now a more persuasive and respectable hypothesis than at any time in the last 100 years. Okay? So we need to take that to heart. We do not need to fear science. Science is our friend. Science will destroy atheism, is destroying atheism. They simply, okay? Again, empirical, that means from experience. Are there experience arguments? Okay, we're going over this very quickly. I'm just highlighting a few things that I mentioned in my book. Are there experience evidence that suggests that truth lies in the direction of the Bible? Okay, I find this one amazing. The Psalms, look at the Psalms. That's the most quoted book in the Bible. And the Bible is the most quoted book in the world. So the Psalms are the most quoted book that ever has survived. It is over 3,000 years old. Okay? And and people from all cultures today enjoy the Psalms more than any others. Okay? Does that say something about human experience? That human experience across the ages, across the cultures, and we're still referencing the Psalms. And we enjoy them, we sing them, we memorize them, we meditate on them. That says something. Hey, the experiences that we as Christians have, and that we have had through the ages, suggests there is some truth here. Okay? And if you're into reading, this is a fantastic book. I found this. He's a professor at Harvard, so that's one of the prestigious universities in the States. I believe he's a psychologist or sociologist, one of those two. He wrote this book, The Question of God. C.S. Lewis and Sigmund Freud debate God, love, sex, and the meaning of life. What he did was simply take their writings, C.S. Lewis and Sigmund Freud. C.S. Lewis was an atheist who became a Christian. Sigmund Freud, a Jewish psychologist, often referenced as the father of modern psychology. He was a die-hard atheist. He died as an atheist. Okay, and Nikolai Arman simply compares how these two intellectual giants responded to these topics. It's a very insightful book. And it goes all the way from C.S. Lewis' struggle with atheism all the way to their passing. Sigmund Freud was a tragedy. His life was a tragedy. He ended up basically taking his life, asking someone to take his life. Okay, experiences. C.S. Lewis, what a rich legacy he has left. The greatest writer, probably, of this last century for the Christian faith. Greatest apologist. Okay, so there are empirical evidences that suggest that truth lies in the direction of the Bible. And again, like we said, for all the other religions, we need to ask ourselves, do these arguments that I'm talking about, do they make sense? Or is this just spin to convince myself? Because I do want the stuff I believe to be true. Okay? And then the religious reasoning. From within our religious story, can we make good sense? Meaning of life. What does it mean to be me? Meaning of my life? The purpose of life? Can we make good sense of evil? Is there a good foundation for good and evil? Okay? Okay, and again, always asking, are these reasonable answers? Or are they just spin? Okay, last day Locke talked about atheism, how atheism answers some of these things. What's atheism's take on evil? Why is there evil in the world? Why do bad things happen? Anyone remember? Why do bad things happen in the world in terms of atheism? We simply need more time. Evolution isn't finished yet. All the quirks in our character haven't evolved to perfection yet. Remember the story about Star Trek? Star Trek, 1,000 years from now, that's the perfect human race. So perfect, in fact, that they fly to other galaxies to solve their problems. Okay? Now atheists need to ask, is that a reasonable answer for explaining evil? Or is that just spin? Is that just spin? Okay, now let's go to the deeper problem. We can have all these arguments, but people will not even begin to listen to us. We in our culture are past being able to talk to people about the Bible. Okay, we're past that. They won't even give us the time of day. The Bible is just rejected out of hand. Okay, so we need to go a little bit about this. Cultural imagery, in other words, the way our culture thinks, the ethos. These are beyond doubt type responses, okay? Our culture simply says, obviously an atheist, a believer in evolution, is more intelligent than someone who doesn't believe that. That's beyond argument in our culture. Would you agree? Someone who is an atheist, someone who's a believer in evolution, is more intelligent than, secondly, the person who believes in the make-believe stories of the Bible. Would you agree? Does our culture suggest that firmly, without even, it's beyond even needing to talk about this? The person who believes in the make-believe stories of that religion presents, no matter which religion, is obviously not educated, backwards, so on. Okay? Cultural imagery, the way our culture thinks through and through. Our culture has been marinated in these truths now for several generations. Chance, no God, evolution, those kinds of things.